we have also this important aim. That was the reason why the Center for Museum Studies started in 1994. It started from the need of systematizing all the teaching and learning materials that were already in use in the museums all over the country, but there wasn't a correct use of those materials. And first of all, there was no archive of these materials. So the center started this work and continuously updates these archives, and it promotes, of course, research projects in the field, as I was saying. Our groups, sorry for my coughing, our group also develops research in the two lines I was talking about, but also we carry out, of course, teaching and learning. And for this reason, we have postgraduate, we manage actually postgraduate courses in educational research, in measurement, in assessment, and in museum studies. So there are two activities. The two activities goes parallelly. So now a slide that in a way summarizes what I've said till now. So we said the activities we carry out, projects, and the M-Learning project is a big project under which the Critical Technology One I coordinated, and I am coordinating because it's still on, of course, is the big one that is, I consider it the umbrella under which we developed also the Critical Technology One. The M-Learning project is a project funded at national level by the Ministry for Education and Research, and it is worth 1 million euros. It involves 3 universities in the country, one from Modena and Reggio Emilia with the Faculty of Education. The second one is again from Rome, but it's La Sapienza with the Medical Sciences faculty, and the third one is Roma 3 and my group that coordinates the national research. So as I was saying, under this umbrella, we developed the Critical Technology project we are going to talk about in a minute. Here you can see this website address, Lecciones, that I invite you, if you are interested, to visit, and where you can find all the information about our postgraduate courses. So the Center for Museum Education, and this acronym EME you can see here stands for Eurovision Museums Exhibiting Europe, and this is a project, a European project that we started, that was funded last year, and that will last 4 years, and it involves different countries in Europe, and it's on museum education, of course, and a new idea of interpreting museum objects. So we said Laboratory for Experimental Research, postgraduate courses on the website Lecciones. Postgraduate courses, just to mention, the postgraduate course I co-direct with Professor Nardi, Standards for Museum Education. The M-Learning project, the logo of the project I will be talking about in a minute, the ministry logo, the logo for the Standards for Museum Education postgraduate course, and the European project. we are in now. So these are the main activities we are carrying out at the moment. But let's focus on the project we were talking about, learning project. It's called FIRB project because that acronym means Italian Research, Basic Research Fund, and it covers, of course, basic research projects in the country. As I said, 3 universities involved. Which is the main aim of the project? The project, as you can see, adaptive message learning, aims at implementing automatic assessment tools to identify the learner's linguistic skills, and in this way adapting the message of instruction and propose innovative didactic strategies. We want to tailor the message of instruction to each student's profile. How do we do this? The project is creating 2 different tools, automatic tools. Lexmeter, as you can read here, and message adapter. The idea is that Lexmeter has the ability to estimate the number of words that each student has in what we call his or her, of course, word box. And his or her word box is what is needed, what the student has to understand the teaching and learning material. Once we identify his or her own profile, we can, through the second tool, that is adapter, adapt the teaching and learning material according to the profile we have identified, working just on the frequency of the words we have identified in the teaching and learning materials. I will try to explain it wider in a minute. So the idea is there are certain words in the text we are proposing to the students that that student is not able to understand because these words are not present in his or her own word box. So we are going to help the student, giving them an explanation, more detail, using more frequent words related to that specific subject. Of course, the words that are to be considered for the adaptation are those less frequent words that the system has identified as less frequent. Let's see how Lexmeter works. The first step is, of course, to identify the student's profile. How do we do that? First of all, we have to create a test, in this case, a closed test, in order to measure his or her own word box. So here you have a slide where you see the 6 steps needed to get this closed test, able to identify our student's profile. Here, when you see the user, we mean the lecturer, the tutor, the course organizer, whoever is in charge of creating the course, of managing the course. So the user select a series of suitable and coherent texts from the database. Of course, you have to create a big, huge database where you insert all the texts that are needed to carry out your course. Then, LexMeter, as we said, computes the lexical frequency of all the texts you have selected. At this point, the text used as the basis of the test is selected by the user, and the user selects a valid range of frequency, a valid range of difficulty. Of course, if you are in charge of setting this system as a lecturer, you want to have a specific range of difficulty to create this test. So LexMeter compares any eligible word of the original text with those included in the lexical frequency you have already chosen and searches for the correspondences. When a correspondence is found and its frequency is in the selected range, it is extracted from the text and is put into the solutions list. So at the end, the program shows the resulting modified text, and the student is now able to take this test. That will be very, very important to define his profile, to define his word box. Of course, when the student has taken the test, and so the system is able to give us details about this word box, adapter will be able to adapt, of course, the teaching and learning materials to that specific profile. The other result is that we don't have only the real student profile, but we have also a virtual learner profile, because we assume that the virtual learner is able to fill in all the blanks correctly. So the idea is to fill in the gap between the real learner and the virtual learner and the real learner. So to fill in the real student's word box. But how is adapter working? The tool, as you can see here in red, is based on linguistic computation only. No use of artificial intelligence. If you can read the image here, I was telling you that this project involves the Faculty of Medical Sciences of the University La Sapienza. And so the courses we developed and experimentation, so the data are related to medical science students, and the system, of course, produces text for this kind of study. As you can see here, an example is, of course, related to, in this case, to cardiovascular disease. Anyway, it says a significant proportion of morbidity, and you see morbidity is the word that the system has identified as less frequent, and so is able to give details using more frequent words. As you can see here, it says between two commas, but it could be also in brackets or whatever. And in bold, it says the frequency of a disease in a population. So it gives an explanation that could help the learner who misses that word in his or her word box, that concept. So our hypothesis of work was increasing details in explaining lower frequency words helps students in understanding the text. Here you have the image representing the platform where the courses are delivered. Just an explanation on the title. It's called Orbis Dictus, and this is to remind us of the first multimedia teaching and learning tool in history of education, I would say. That is the Orbis Sensualis, the Pictus by Comenius, a remarkable work that was created in 1658 and that is still in use. I think that every one of us has had one of those children's book with pictures and the sound of the animal represented in the book and the word connected to that specific animal. So the Orbis Sensualis Pictus is here remembered with this title we gave to our platform, Orbis Dictus, instead referring to the focus that is on the speech and to the multi-dimensions that we want to exploit through this research work. And the other idea is to make reference to some very strong, structured, traditional educational tools that technology can help making them at disposal of everyone. We know that certain traditional teaching and learning tools, structures are still in use in certain very elitist environments. I refer to Oxford and Cambridge, for example, where certain very traditional ways, methods of teaching and learning methods are in use because they have very small classes and the ratio between teachers and learners is very small, and so the relationship is almost one-to-one, and this is of course effective. We know they are in top top-rate universities, but we can use, that's the idea of a critical use of technology. We can use technology, we can make technology serve this aim of making culture and effective teaching and learning tools useful and available to everyone. Apart from this digression, this is the link to the video that we created to describe more in detail, also technical details regarding our project tools, Lexmeter and Adapter, that I was telling you about before. And if you are interested, please have a look at the video and contact us. I know there are lots of, many of you, I think most of you are engineers or experts in computer science, so you can contact directly the engineers who created these tools and the platform, and so retrieve more information about technical aspects. Now, our project, the core of our discussion. You may have understood that the main umbrella, I called it the main umbrella, the M-Learning project, a big project funded by the Italian ministry, is a project that works on the passive language the passive lexicon the learner has in his or her own word box. At a certain point, after 2 years of experimentation, we realized that it was important also to work on the active lexicon, on what the students were able to use while asked to write, to argument, to make a critical point. We realized in our courses that they had great difficulties in carrying out certain activities, in using their critical thinking skills. And so we realized that within the project it was possible to develop this second line of research, trying also to find connections with the first part, developing the analysis of the passive lexicon, and the connection between the two sides of the research could be can be an important key of understanding. So that's why we thought that we had to work on critical thinking skills, which are essential because, as you know, they are the drivers for creativity, innovation, growth. And the economic crisis we are all facing in the Western world calls for enhancement of this sort of skills. Here I quote a report from the OECD, Investing in Human and Social Capital, where it is clearly said that the demand for task input requiring complex communication is increasing, that there's a great demand for non-routine analytical skills. The ability in solving problems is, again, absolutely required. Inquiry-based learning, again, is an area of that should be enhanced and you know, inserted in education at every level of education. And so all these ideas are, of course, related to the fact that we need to favor, to enhance critical thinking abilities in higher education studies, especially. So we thought that it was needed to develop an ad hoc model for these objectives, and the idea was to organize a very structured didactic proposal in order to see if it was possible to enhance these critical thinking abilities using technology. Here you have a reference to a definition regarding critical thinking abilities, which I consider very effective, because it's true, I mean, that the quality of our life and what we produce, we do, we build, depends on the quality of our thoughts. But the quality of our thoughts at the same time depends on culture and must be culturally nourished. So that's why we got this this concept as a driving force in the development of our didactic proposal. Another key point, another aspect that we wanted to develop and to keep in mind designing, projecting our teaching and learning proposal was the idea of making it cooperative, of thinking it as a cooperative activity, because cooperation carried out online, we thought were two elements that could favor the development of critical thinking skills even more than a certain activity just like that. Here you have some drivers for innovation that I mentioned here: open and dynamic innovation, democracy of ideas, creativity, distributed leadership, lifelong learning, new measurement systems, and so on, that are all connected to the idea of working cooperatively. They are listed by Professor Romano, one of our most well-known experts in innovation and economic growth. So we already said why cooperative approach, because collaborative learning, and actually Professor Henderson already talked about the importance of working cooperatively. So I reinforce his statements, fosters the development of critical thinking, as you can see mentioned here. And working online, as I said before, has the possibility of sharing and exchange knowledge, of interacting, and interacting actually is natural online, and it helps the attitude of all the subjects involved. So, which was the hypothesis we developed? Deepening cultural aspects according to well-structured didactic projects, upon which starting online guided discussions and written short essays improves critical thinking skills. We considered that this was true also in different fields of research, in different fields of actually teaching and learning, because we tried to develop these projects not only with our education students, but also with students from the Faculty of Engineering based in the University of Lecce. And I will tell you something about it in a minute. So what did we do? We prepared the teaching material to be provided online, and we will see again, it was structured according to a specific model. We organized guided discussions in a virtual space according to what was the teaching and learning materials. We analyzed every written production posted by the students in the discussions, and we analyzed them with lexical method tools, but not only. We analyzed them according to a model of a content analysis model, an adapted model by Newman, Webb, and Cochrane. And we asked the students to take a first short essay at the very beginning of the activity. Then they had to take the lectures, the podcasts that were available online. We asked them then to repeat a short essay in the end, and we analyzed again all the written materials they produced. Of course, we collected, analyzed data, and produced the report. Sorry, this is the previous one. Here you have a description of how the activity, the teaching and learning activity, was designed. We took a classical work, that is Discours sur la méthode by Descartes, written in 1637. We produced some lectures, some podcasts on the text, the original text. Why this work? Because this is the first work in history, actually, specifically devoted to the presentation of the scientific method. So how do we carry research? We carry out research according to a methodology. And the first one to give the stones, the main stones of research methodology is Descartes in this work, Discorso sulla metoda. So we presented the subject according to this structure. You see here some words in Latin: distinctio, divisio textus, collatio, question. These are the basic elements of what was called in medieval times, when the university started in Bologna, was called Lectio Magistralis. Which are the parts of a Lectio Magistralis? Distinctio, divisio textus, collatio, and question. What does it mean? That first, you have to introduce the context, the author, the setting of the work. Then you analyze the text, so every single word of the text. Then you start a discussion with the students. You give them some assignments regarding the discussion, and in fact the students had to, after having listened to the podcast regarding the first two steps of the Lectio Magistralis, they had to start a work. They had to work in groups to start a project work on a free subject, on whatever subject they wanted to choose, to start a project, to write a project. And so we entered the final step of teaching and learning proposal. They had to write cooperatively this project and to submit it. So they had to give a critical interpretation of what was the work they started from. Then they had also to make a public presentation of the project. So which were the activities summarizing? A pre-test, short essay on a text taken from Galileo, Dialogo sopra I due massimi sistemi del mondo. And so they had to reason, to start working on text, classical text, guided, of course, with certain questions. Then they had to work on the podcasts that were given online on Descartes, Discorso sulla metoda. Then they have to write an online cooperative short essay on thinking, figuring out a project, but taking into consideration the milestones Descartes gave them with his work, Discorso sulla metoda. And then they had to take a post-test on another passage taken from Galileo. Here you have an image. I know it's difficult to read, but it's not important to read it, actually. It's important to see that with thinking we could, according to the colors, the different colors, you see every color. I think most of you know the system. Anyway, considering that every color corresponds to one person, we could also have data regarding each individual person participating in the group and giving his or her own contribution. So the analysis and the findings. As I said, we analyzed all the written materials from the pre-test to the post-test, to what they produced online, to the comments, to the interactions between and among them. We used the content analysis model and lexical metric analysis in the same way. I mean, of course, one is a qualitative method, the other is a quantitative method. But the categories of analysis were always the same. The ones that we identified, as I said, starting from the Newman, Webb, and Cochrane model of analysis. This original model identifies 20 pairs of indicators. We just concentrated our attention on relevance, importance, width of understanding, justification, novelty, and that's it. So as you can see in the formula, this model mainly states a ratio, computes a ratio between the presence or absence of the category I mentioned before. Here you have some results divided according to what we found out in the pre-test, the post-test, and the collaborative pathway. And this graphic is related to the students from the Faculty of Education. As you see, there's an improvement in all the categories considered, and the improvement is more significant with the collaborative essay. And that was an important point for us. These are instead the students from the Faculty of Engineering. Of course, as you can see, the students from the Faculty of Engineering were started from a different point. We cannot compare the two groups. We can say that, again, there's an improvement. I know that speaking of improvements of measurements in such a difficult, tricky field, like the one related to critical thinking skills, is I mean, it can be difficult to accept in a way. But what we were, I mean, we consider it useful to carry out this sort of research and to have these results because they are indications. And again, what we want to do is to carry on with this research, and so to see if the results keep, you know, being on the same line, the same direction, in order to see if this model is really effective or not, or if is biased by other factors, that other variables that, of course, can intervene in such an environment like that of education, where we have to deal with human beings. Of course, we are not in an art science laboratory. The previous slide that don't know if I can find again it. Here it is just you know, a comment by a student where we asked them, of course, to comment and to evaluate the proposal in the end, and this student, in a way, summarizes a bit what was a generally shared opinion. They appreciated the fact of getting information on a certain subject in a short time. They appreciated the fact that they could compare their own opinions with the other members of the group, of being the possibility of being supported, of managing one's own work independently, but also respecting the others and the deadline. So there were different positive points that were actually shared by almost all the students. So which are the main points of our model under investigation? And that's why I was saying the comparisons or the data we collected cannot be taken as, you know, can't be, you know, analyzed strictly as numbers. But they give indications of work, of how to work. The relation, if any, between the employment of traditional lecturing modes what I was telling you, distinct to the video textus, collactio quaestio, the lectio magistralis, and the ability of reasoning. I'm fairly sure that if Oxford and Cambridge keep on using this structure in their tutorials, there's a reason, and I really wish that technology could make this opportunity available to everyone. And then the hypothesis tested concerned mainly the verification of the impact of classical lecturing on students' reason production. And this is another point we want to explore further. Then the fact that actually technology has the limitation of employing traditional lecturing in contemporary large contexts and allows that individual intercourse every one of us might need while deepening a certain topic of study. So the idea of using technology in a critical way, using technology to serve education and not the other way around. This is at the basis of our studies. We have a vital need for enhancement of critical thinking skills, as I said. And again, technology can be a valid solution for improvement. The other idea is that, according to these last results, the model under investigation can be used also in different fields of knowledge. This year, the project will go on, and we will offer courses to students, again, to that group, to another group, of course, from the Faculty of Engineering in Lecce, and from the Faculty of Medical Sciences based in Genoa. This was this concludes my contribution. I hope it was clear. I hope you could listen to all to what I said. I hope my communication was effective, but as you can see here, you have my email address. You can follow me on Twitter, and if you have other questions, other queries, please don't hesitate and ask. Hello? Rodrigo?
Thank you very much, Antonella. Thank you. Are you listening to me?
Yeah, Monica.
Can you listen to me?
Yeah, good to hear you. Was it clear?
Okay.
Could you hear me?
We are going to yes, we can. We are going to see if our audience has some questions, and
yeah,
let's see.
Okay.
¿Alguna pregunta? A ver, un momento.
There.
Buongiorno. El proyecto que está desarrollando, ¿cómo descubre y evalúa las habilidades de los estudiantes con aprendizaje en línea?
Antonella.
Yeah. I could hear just part of it.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear you. Yeah.
This lady wants to know, how do you assess the abilities of the students who are learning online?
Yeah.
I mean, what kind of...
May I answer?
Yes, please. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, as I said, we take into consideration, if I can go back to my presentation, we take into consideration these categories, relevance, importance, comprehension, justification, novelty, and evaluation. And we analyze all the written text, whatever the student writes online, is analyzed according to these categories, both with a content analysis method, so with a human being, a researcher, analyzing the text, reading what the student has written, and then assigning, the piece of information to one category or the other. And with these lexical metrics tools, we use the TALTAC system. I don't know if you know the software, which it can be set according to these categories, and it analyzes the written essay, the written production by the students according to those categories. It identifies the frequency of the words connected to that category of analysis. I don't know if that clarifies the question.
¿Alguna otra pregunta? Well, it seems that we are done, Antonella. We thank you very much for your intervention. And we thank you all for being here.
Thanks to you, really. Thanks to all of you. I hope it was interesting and that they understood.
Grazie alla dottoressa Poce per il suo interessante contributo. Salutiamole con un forte applauso dal Messico all'Italia.
Grazie.
Prego.
Grazie a voi.
Grazie, dottoressa.
Spero di essere là il prossimo anno.
Oh, sarebbe benissimo per noi averla qui. Grazie.
Lo spero proprio. Grazie a voi.
Thank you very much. Querida audiencia, ahora sí tenemos descanso. Hace un rato no teníamos descanso, pero bueno, tenemos la oportunidad de relajarse un momento. Tenemos un receso. De hecho, tenemos tiempo. Tenemos que estar de regreso a 10 minutos.
¿Puedes prender la luz?
20 para las 12.
Allá. Thank you, Doctoressa. I'm Rodrigo once again. Everything worked A-okay. Everything seems perfect. All the students are very gladly to meet you and to receive your conference. Everything okay. And we had our talks because the bandwidth of the internet isn't perfect. That we need, but
it's a good experiment also for you because you can use it again. Yeah. But anyway, I please really thank Professor Tyre from my side. If you have the chance to see him, I imagine he's
of course I'll tell him.
Yeah.
I'll tell him, and you're gonna receive in a few days your diploma for being our online speaker.
Thank you.
And I'll tell Dr. Chaire everything you said.
Yes,
and
tell him, and I will contact him
pleased.
tomorrow. I will email him shortly.
That sounds perfect.
Okay,
well,
thank you.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Antonella.
Thank you.
I guess it's good night in there.
Yes, it's about dinner time,
Well, have a good night, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.
Yeah, I hope so.
Thank you very much. See you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.